In this episode, Kate and David come back from the break to talk about their favorite dwellings. It's Season 5, and it begins now.
Hello and welcome to another Zelda podcast. It's Season 5!
We need one of those horns.
Yes, exactly. Well, that was what I was trying for. But hi, it's Kate May here, and I am here with the, normal, actual, real-time, full-time host, David Geisler.
Howdy, Kate.
Hi, how are you?
Normal full-time, that's fine, but we've got you set up for a bunch of episodes this season. I think we really worked out a nice schedule here.
I am normal part-time.
Normal part-time, perhaps, yeah.
At this point.
We're I'm excited. We have, I think, at least eight episodes planned with you right now, and It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I'm lucky enough to be part of the season premiere for Season 5.
Well, Kate, I don't think I can ever do a season premiere without you, honestly. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
It's I think the premieres and the finales and maybe the review episodes, they're like staples. And every time I bring it up to any of the other, the blog writers or anyone else who's been on the show, they're like, "Oh yeah, totally." That you have to have those bookends. Kate has to be there. So I know you're bringing us in. You're hosting us today, but I just kind of wanted to ask how your break was.
It was good. Just living life in a pandemic kind of situation.
It's true, actually. To put a little timestamp on this episode, we're about 2 years into the pandemic, and it's like things are kind of coming back to normal and kind of opening up.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of parts that aren't. And so it's almost a tease at this point, isn't it?
Yeah, I've been to a concert, but another one that I got a ticket for that I was really excited about got canceled, which makes sense. So
a lot of working from home still.
Yes, working permanently from home on my side of things. So when someone comes to my house like Dave, I'm so excited because then I get to talk to a real human being again.
On that note, last night as I was packing up the equipment to come here, I was telling Gingsy, I have to admit, I was just gushing. I was just like, "Oh, I can't wait! I'm so excited to go to Kate's tomorrow," because it's we are recording on a classic Saturday morning, just like the old days, Season 1, Season 2. We even have you made coffee.
Yeah.
We have our Zelda cups with water. This is. I feel like I'm in 2018 right now, and I'm okay with it.
Yep, I know. I hear you. Same. So, how are you? How was your break? About the same?
My break was good. It was my holidays were good. They we were able to, the family, we did the thing, we all got kind of tested to make sure we were negative and got together for the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
I had a nice little situation with my sister. I don't want to take up too much time, but I think I'll mention this real quick.
Sure.
My youngest sister, we had fallen out for a couple years there, maybe 4 or 5 years. We loved each other very much, but we were just both being a little stubborn and probably unwilling to acknowledge some of our own stubbornnesses. Mm-hmm. And so we weren't chatting too much over the last couple of years, almost since starting this show, honestly, Kate. Honestly, maybe we even fell out a little bit around the time you and I were in that play together. So
okay.
I've missed her a lot. And we were able to patch all that up this holiday.
It
was awesome. Yeah, it was great. She's about 7 years younger than me, and she lives in Texas right now. And so we don't have a lot of opportunities to communicate. And so, when you don't really see each other that often, you might hold on to things that you don't need to hold on to, instead of patching it all up. But we were both able to kind of, I guess, forgive and just kind of move on. And at the end of the day, the only person in the world you can change is yourself, Kate.
This is true.
And
amen.
Apparently, my sister and I were both willing to do that this Christmas, and it was awesome. I'm so happy to have her back in my life.
Yay!
That's actually, I didn't realize I was going to talk about all that.
That's
but
great
it was
to hear.
In that way, it was an awesome holiday. It was an awesome break.
I am like Dr. Phil in a lot of ways. People just want to talk to me about their family situations and everything else, and I'm just here to listen.
Yeah, so that was cool. In every other way, the holidays were it's still a little bit of that pandemic thing. So I was happy to see my family.
Yeah.
Very happy to be chatting with my sis again. Because she and I used to play video games all the time. And Zelda, she was like, I had a sister under me that was 2 years younger than me. Mm-hmm. And that's Katie. She and I got along very well, but we kind of went through school together. So we had enough mutual friends. Mm-hmm. Kimberly was a full school generation or two younger than me. And I don't have any brothers. And so I often joke, maybe I've even said this on the show, my little sister is kind of like my brother, my younger brother almost. And so I would always talk her into playing video games with me. And perhaps in another year or two, I don't know, she's pretty busy these days working in the medical field in Texas, but maybe we can bond over Breath of the Wild 2 or something again in a year or two.
Yeah, that's right. I am excited for whenever that comes about. My guess is Christmas, but we'll see hopefully sooner than
All
that.
the rumors I'm seeing right now as us recording this episode is wait, I thought I saw February 2022, but I think it's going to be.
Oh my gosh.
I think it's going to be October or November 2022.
Okay.
I think it's going to be towards the end of our season.
Okay. Well, sooner than Christmas would be awesome.
Yeah.
That's too far away. I want it now.
That trailer came out almost 3 years ago. I just did the math real quick.
That's insane.
Have you played anything interesting over the break? We're just kind of getting back into the season here. I hope you don't mind.
Yeah. So I play a lot of like little kind of independent games on Switch. Something that I really liked was Bastion.
I saw you playing that.
Yeah.
I have played it as well.
That one, it kind of reminds me of Zelda a little bit in the whole like go get something, bring it back, and go get something, bring it back, kind of having that central location hub that you're kind of like collecting your items and then bringing them back to do something else. And it kind of changes a little bit as you bring things back. You think it's going to be over, much like Zelda, where you're like, okay, this is the third thing, so then I'm done, right? Nope, like something else changes.
Yeah.
So
a little more focus on combat with that game than puzzle solving.
Yes.
It's almost a dungeon crawler.
Yeah.
But I hear what you're saying. I played that game on Steam back when it first came out.
Yeah.
And I was playing keyboard mouse. But when I saw that it came out on the Switch, I was very excited to play with analog sticks and just see what that was like. And I was very pleased with it.
Yeah.
How do you feel about, I'm going to totally load this question. How do you feel about the awesome real-time storytelling?
I like it. I have to like turn the volume way up because it's kind of hard to pay attention to while you're also like exploring and fighting and stuff. And sometimes it's hard for me to hear. And I think that's mostly my TV's problem. But I really like it. And then Bill was like listening to me or watching me play one day. He was in the same room and he was like, what is that? Why is he talking while you're walking around? I'm like, no, isn't that cool? Like, I like it.
He's telling the story in past tense, the narrator,
right?
About this character, but you're driving the narrative in present tense.
Right.
And so I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was super cool.
Yeah, I like it a lot. How about you?
Prince of Persia did that way back in the day. Remember that? He was like telling it, the Prince of Persia that came out for GameCube and Xbox and PlayStation. And if you died in Prince of Persia, he would say like, no, wait, that's not how it happened. Let me start over. And that was like a real clever way to like have you respawn, you know?
Yes.
They worked it all into the story. And that was awesome too. I don't know if I've played too much over the holidays. Honestly, I'm kind of thinking through my Switch profile right now. And wow. It was mostly finished up Skyward Sword.
Oh, yes.
We're going to be talking about that in a couple weeks.
Yep. There was a lot of that.
And I kind of would just dip into City Skylines mostly, which is that city building game. And the truth is, the past couple months, we have 2 more shows coming out for 6.5, and we've got a lot of other things going with the Top 5 Nintendo and Turn by Turn right now. They're finding a lot of success. And so the truth is, my video game the past 2 months has been 6.5, I think.
Oh.
I'm fine with it. A lot of work. We have a lot of, you and I, we have a team of people behind us here at Another Zelda Podcast with the blog writers and even Celeste functioning as a producer this season and stuff like that, or last season, this season as well. But from the 6.5 point of view, I'm kind of right on that cusp now where it's starting to grow out of what a single person can do. Mm-hmm. And so I think over the next year, my real plan is going to be, how do I make this so that 3 people can do it or something? I've been automating things, but anyway, I'm rambling now. But
you need more time for those video games.
You caught me off guard. The truth is I haven't played many video games, and that's a little sad.
Yeah.
It's all good.
But we'll be doing another review episode down the line. So I think you and I are going to be.
We have 2 review episodes this season.
Yes.
I'm very excited. We're doing Skyward Sword HD in a few episodes.
Uh-huh.
And then today I brought my Game Boy Player and Oracle of Ages cartridge.
Yes.
For you to play on the GameCube throughout the course of the season. And I think it's not the finale, but it's like the 3rd or 4th to the last episode this season is going to be our review episode of that game.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so excited for you to play it.
Yeah.
I mean, both Seasons and Ages are great.
I've never played either, so this will be my first time through, and that's always cool.
I'm going to give you a contextual like hint. It's not a hint of playing the game. You know that these Oracle games kind of look like Link's Awakening because they run their own engine, which is an extension off that original Link's Awakening engine. So you'll notice when you go into a dungeon, the screen will scroll.
Okay.
You know, where like in original Link's Awakening, it really was every single screen was its own thing. But these games came out after Ocarina of Time. So imagine, even though ironically these games don't take place in Hyrule, they take place in Holodrum and whatever, Labrinia or something like that. Imagine playing Ocarina of Time on a Game Boy, because these games have Zoras, these games have Gorons, these games like have swimming, and like it's like a little bit more what you're used to in a normal Zelda game as a 2D game. So I really think and hope that you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm excited. So let's go into listener feedback.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
Before we get into
I'm the
topic.
chatty one. I'm so chatty this morning.
Chatty David.
Man,
and then we will get in our topic, which is favorite dwellings, is what we'll be talking about today. But before that, let's hear what our listeners have.
Oh, by the way, last night while I was packing up the equipment, I tweeted out that we were going to be talking about this topic today.
Yeah.
And we have about, 8 or 9 replies that I'll maybe we'll save it at the end.
Yeah.
Because I think some of them might be stuff we have in our notes.
Cool.
And then we'll do that listener feedback at the end.
Something
But right now, we have some Nathan Sinopidis over at, I think this was on Instagram. I think he sent us a message. I could be wrong. Maybe this is Messenger over on Facebook. But anyway, Nathan here says, "Hey guys, I've only recently found your podcast. Yes, I know, I'm pretty late. Better late than never, smiley emoji. It's good to hear two passionate people nerd out to a franchise I have loved since I got my first Zelda game back in 1987, when I was just 6 years old. Nice. I'm a huge fan of the series, and now can listen to you two dissect everything Zelda related while at work. Keep up the great work. I'll catch up soon enough. Super smiley cry emoji and an okie dokie emoji."
Thanks.
Thanks, Nathan.
Yeah.
I think he and I are pretty close to the same age. Because I was about 6, maybe 7, maybe 5 when the first Zelda came out.
Yeah. Awesome.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much, Nathan.
Plenty of time to catch up. We're just here. You know,
that's true.
The episodes are just here. They're in no particular order, so take your time.
Yeah, that is kind of the fun of doing seasons, is that it's pretty easy to jump back into old ones, isn't it?
Yeah.
Instead of just like randomly scrolling through 300 episodes and being like, maybe here.
Yeah.
Anyways. Over on YouTube, the Chugu, that's the screen name. The Chugu said, in regards to our top 10 Zelda fandom projects. Oh, no, this was an episode that Dan and I did.
Okay.
We talked about cool fandom projects out in the world.
Cool.
And the Chugu says, absolutely loving season 4. So glad to see Kate back on the show and can only wait to see what's in store for the rest of the season. So this was halfway through season 4. I feel like we had a solid season 4. I was kind of looking at the episodes in preparation for today, and we really ramped up nicely there towards the end. Honestly, those last 5 or 6 episodes, I've personally gone back and re-listened to. That was fun. We had that group episode with the Coons.
Yeah.
We had our finale. You and I did the behind the scenes of Link's Awakening episode. It was a good bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, season 4 was great. Okay, over here, speaking of season 4 episode 12, Hyrule Castles. Oh, this is just the most recent episode, our finale for season 4.
Yeah.
Blue Valor says, it looks like this might be on YouTube as well. They commented and said, oh, this is kind of a small one. I love the Hyrule Castles. Starry eye emoji. My favorite is Breath of the Wilds. It's gorgeous, but I only wish we could explore it in its full glory before the calamity.
Yeah.
Sad emoji. Twilight Princess is second. I love the way it looms over Castletown and the beautiful views of it from the bridges leading into town. Yeah, that's true. Plus, it's an awesome final dungeon with the best final boss in the series.
Wow.
Cool guy emoji, in my opinion. Blue Valor, yeah, I agree. I don't know. Any thoughts there, Kate?
Yeah, I think we were pretty much on the same page during that episode. We were most impressed with Twilight Princess and Breath of the Wild castles. Those were the most fun to kind of explore, and they seemed the most realized. So,
yeah. My only thing is when I'm in the rundown, the castle in Breath of the Wild is so great in its rundown state. It's so cool that I just wish I could explore more of it, which would mean in its not rundown state.
Right, which is, exactly what this person was saying. Yeah,
right,
agreed.
Yeah. And then lastly, over here on iTunes, or Apple Podcasts, rather, E01, EHICH is the screen name. They gave us a 5-star review. Thank you so much. All the reviews on Apple Podcasts really, really help us out. In the whole, every time you are listening to a podcast and it says other things you might like, if people give us reviews, we get bumped up a little bit. So that's really, truly helps the show, and we always appreciate it. And it says here, if you like conversations about all things Legend of Zelda, then hey, listen to this podcast. I've been a listener since the beginning of 2018.
Aww.
This is a new comment. I've been a listener since the beginning of 2018. So since the infancy of this podcast. That's right. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
And I wanted to finally express just how lovely these Zelda fans are to listen to. In parentheses, I recently switched over to iPhone from Android, and there was never a way to write a review on Google Podcasts. Otherwise, I would have done it sooner, on parentheses. Thank you for all the years of Zelda convos. It's awesome to have Kate back. Okay, bye. Oh, man, E-Heich. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Thanks for hanging out with us and giving us a review once you came over to Apple Podcasts. I don't know if Spotify allows reviews, but I think Spotify does at least allow ratings. Google Podcasts has made a lot of improvements over the last couple of years. They do one thing that's really cool where they'll let you actually show your custom, I think Spotify does this too, your custom album artwork for each episode. I really appreciate that. But
apparently can't write reviews.
Apparently no reviews on Google Podcasts.
Well, thanks for the review, and thanks for being my biggest fan.
Everyone's so happy. There was like 2 glad Kate's back comments in there.
Yeah, glad to be back.
Oh man, yeah, it is nice. I've almost feel like we've gone full circle here just sitting at this table today. So anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's hop into it, shall we? So this was an idea that that was kind of on our list of potential topics, and I liked this one because it's just kind of a general favorite-y kind of list. I like having a nice casual convo about a cool topic in the games. I don't know why I'm talking like that. And so
that's fine.
I don't have these in any particular order. I don't know if you do. Yeah, because it wasn't really like a top 10. It's just kind of like, what dwellings do you like to visit and hang out in and explore?
It has become tradition for us to do favorite episodes as our season premieres. It started out as an accident, and now we use it as part of our format.
Yeah.
And so we were talking about what kind of favorite episode. And a favorite episode, if you're a new listener, means we have both Kate and I pick some things we want to talk about, but we don't speak about them in any particular order. They're not ranked or anything. Sometimes we will do top 10 episodes. This is just a way, and it's also not one of our deep dive episodes where we'll pick a single thing and then really try to learn about it.
Right.
So favorite dwellings. Yeah, Kate, you did lean into this topic. What was that? What was the inclination?
Yeah, I just thought it would be when I saw the topic, certain things immediately sprang to my mind. So I was like, okay, I think this will be, nice and easy to chat about and interesting, and we can have a debate with our listeners over what a dwelling is. How do we define that? Is it something that people are actively living in? Is it something that maybe is abandoned that people used to live in? Is it a hotel or an inn? Is that included? Is it another kind of building? So, I may stretch the definition a little bit or boundaries, but
what did you kind of land on?
Well, yeah, I can go first with my first one that I thought of.
Sure.
So the first thing I thought of when I saw that topic was, at least in my personal experience, whatever house you go into first in the first Zelda game you play, because I think it's
stupid. Watch. Yes.
Your
Siri did not understand the first house. Did not understand.
Okay, so let me clarify for the sake of your watch. What I thought was, the first time I went into a little structure, a little dwelling in Kokiri Forest and Ocarina of Time, and I went, I can go in these things? And back in the day, I was impressed with there are textures, there's furniture, there's not a lot, but there's
I'm thinking your first experience would have been in Kokiri Forest there, and it was going into the tree houses and stuff like that.
Right, exactly. Yeah, cool. So my favorite dwelling is the one that kind of first makes you go, oh, cool. There's a treasure chest in here. Or there's a pot in it. What can I do with this pot? Oh, I can pick it up. Mm-hmm. Oh, I could throw it. Oh, there's rupees in here.
Signs of life. Signs of life existing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's not this particular one, and I do get more specific later on, I swear. But this one was just
my favorite dwellings. All the houses.
All of them. any of
It's been a great episode. All right, we'll see you guys.
Okay, bye. So I wrote, my first experience was Ocarina of Time, and it was a wow moment because, there's furniture, there are rugs, there are textures, there are, different things going on. And so that was a special thing for me. And I can't tell you which one I went into first because they do kind of blend together in Kokiri Forest. But
you start in Link's house. I apologize to interrupt.
Right.
But I think that's like, I'm guessing that based on what you're saying that feels okay. Well, of course, this is my house, but when there are others, it's like, whoa, there's a town, there's people living here. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Link's house is cool too. I actually had Link's house in here as one of mine.
Sure.
In Kokiri Forest.
Yeah.
And I think the only thing is, as I think about it now, I don't think he has literal like a sink and a cabinet or anything like that. But maybe the Kokiri don't live like that, because now that I think about it, not a single house in that game. If we're going to try to dissect the lore of Kokiri Forest, none of them have like kitchens and stuff like that. They all kind of sleep, and they have like a table to do some things at. Mm-hmm. And you and I could probably surmise that that's really more just the state of what of world building and gaming was back in 1999.
Right.
But if we wanted to like kind of go lore-y with it, maybe the Kokiri eat in the forest. You know what I mean? Maybe I had said something in our world building episode back with the Coons last season. I said I was kind of ragging on Zora's Domain in Breath of the Wild a little bit about how it's really cool looking, but it doesn't really, there isn't any like, oh, this is this person's house moments in Zora's Domain.
Right.
And I gotta say, I was thinking about that just a few days ago. And I think a lot of the Zora's domains, if not all of them, actually have that vibe where you don't really literally go into Zora's houses. And I realized, oh, well, if the Zoras are kind of like fish people, maybe they don't have houses per se.
Yeah.
And maybe they just eat in the water like a fish. And they're not like, you know what I mean? They're not preparing meals in that way.
Right.
And I realized all the Zoras always are kind of just like living in the water, and then they have these public places where they can get together.
Yeah.
And so I'm realizing, the reason I wanted to bring that up just now is I think maybe the Kokiri, it's feasible that they might live in a similar way too. You know what I mean?
And then they do have like that kind of river-ish, there's water flowing through the town. So maybe that's where they, clean get their
Yeah. Right. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, you're right. Because it's easy to make an assumption that Kokiri are humanoid, but they're not Hylians, and they don't age. They could work on a totally different kind of biological magic. I'm into it.
So
okay,
even though
I've wrapped my head around it.
Yeah, even though their houses are not super, complicated or anything, I just think it was cool to go in there. The music changes, like that's a big thing about it too, where you're just like, oh, I'm in a truly different place than I just was. Like now I am in someone's house, and it kind of makes me feel weird. Like, should I be in someone's house? I should probably go. But anyway, that was my first one. So
yeah, great. For me, a dwelling was any place in any Zelda game that you could conceivably, realistically imagine someone spending a couple nights in.
Sure.
Is kind of what I use as a dwelling. If that was a tent in the woods, but it seemed permanent enough that someone could stay there for a while, I would count it. I don't have any tents in the woods in my list, but see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
So absolutely. That for me, that would include like an inn or something like that.
Yeah.
I might even have a few in here that, I have one that may not, if you really look at it, a bit like the Kokiri houses are houses. That's clearly where they live. But I've got one in here that is, I needed to include it as a dwelling, and I'll just imagine that there's a back room somewhere where this person's living.
Oh, okay.
But I think for starters, I'm going to go with, I hope it's not a hot take, but I love the old man's cabin in Breath of the Wild in the beginning.
Oh.
I know it's not that fancy.
Okay.
And it's probably conceivable that people don't even check it out. But it is part of the reasons why I always go to it every time I play Breath of the Wild, and I always go back. And it's so well realized as a place where someone lives. There is a bed, there is a table, there's even an axe up against the wall. There's fruit on the table, and it's kind of fun because it's a log cabin, and so you can still see the outside through some of the logs. So it was a time where because in Breath of the Wild, the outside and the difference between outside a structure and inside a structure is still running in the same engine, but in the same instance. Whereas Ocarina of Time, Skyward Sword, they would always pull up another load. They would load up another little modal or whatever it is. And so the time still passes. So like the shadow of a window or the light coming through a window will move when you're inside a building in Breath of the Wild. Well, from an artistic point of view and a technical point of view, that absolutely happens in this log cabin because all the light's like coming through the little cracks of all the logs. And even though it's a little bit of a rundown log cabin, okay, if I get personal for a second, I would love to live in that. I would very happily spend an entire summer in something like that.
Sure.
That's like right up my alley.
Yeah.
But I remember the first time I came across it, I think that is the first time in Breath of the Wild, if you're only staying on the Great Plateau, that you do come across anything that evokes any kind of. I mean, the baddies have camps, but this is the only it's a dwelling, isn't it? It's the only dwelling on the Great Plateau.
There you go.
And sometimes the old man's out front. Sometimes he's hunting in the woods. You can find him all over the place.
Yeah.
But when you walk up to that cabin, it's a little bit like you were saying about Hyrule Castles. I find myself wanting to look at it and walking around. There's chopped wood outside.
That's awesome. I haven't, started Breath of the Wild in so long, and I keep thinking about it, about starting it over. Yeah. So I can kind of relive those early moments of the game just because it's been so long since I did. I don't get as excited about like hopping into it now in the middle of my game. Well, not really middle because I've already beaten the story part and I've found a lot of shrines. Like I would almost rather just start over from scratch and kind of re-see everything for the first time again. And so if and when I do that, I'm going to check out that cabin. I'm sure I did the first time I played, but it was just so long ago that
the cabin still exists throughout the game, so you could go back and take a look at it. But there's something nice about seeing it while the old man's living there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that was one. Let me mark that off my list.
Love it. It reminds me of I'm actually like reading.
You pulled something up?
Yeah, I pulled up.
I'm sorry. I thought you said you were reading something off your screen. Hey, what are these? Are these magnets on your laptop?
Oh, yeah. So I can put another monitor on the back of my, and it's like extends. So it like sticks and then
There's like 4 metal discs.
I have magnets on my laptop. I knew that would like probably come up because it's in the video as well.
Oh yeah, it's in the Patreon. You can see it. But anyway.
But the old man's cabin kind of reminds me in look and just talking about it and like visualizing it in my head of like a novel that I'm reading right now.
Oh,
so
cool.
Where it's part of a fantasy like set of books. And so it's like a bunch of trilogies. And so it's coming into where this main character has been living in a like cabin in the woods for a while because he just wanted to like get away from the craziness that his life was in the last trilogy that I read. And so he's just like in this house, having cozy meals with his wolf pet friend.
Seriously? That sounds great.
And I know. And, just like having a cozy fire and cooking food. He has a garden. And it just reminds me of exactly this. And apparently that's where you want to be because you have a very wistful look on your face right now.
I'm into that. Yeah, I went there just now.
Yeah.
I went there.
I love reading those kinds of books because of that. It's so easy to just like put yourself there. But.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm distracted because I'm like emotionally in this fantasy cabin. I don't know.
I'll show you the book later. You can read it. So I'll go into my next one. So my next one is the Knight Academy from Skyward Sword.
Ooh. So I almost put this in and then I redacted it. So let's talk about it.
Okay.
I don't think it doesn't qualify, but I'd love to hear why it does for you.
Yeah, it's like a combo dwelling. So in my notes, I put that it seems like a very realistic, though very small, like dormitory.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it's theoretically supposed to be. So you have the first and second floor that are separated by like gender. So you have the guys on one floor and the girls on another floor.
I didn't notice that.
With the students. You have the instructors' rooms, the classroom, a kitchen. There's even a bathroom with a toilet and a scary toilet ghost. Gotta have a good toilet ghost.
It's not the last time you're going to see a toilet ghost.
Oh, good. Mm-hmm. I love a good toilet ghost. Every bedroom is slightly different with unique touches, the way it's decorated. I'm really bad at remembering names, but the guy who collects bugs, like there are bugs in his room and Link's or however you name yourself, your room.
Yeah. I've always named him Link. Does it say like David's room if you if you put in your name as David or Kate or whatever? Oh,
yes,
wow. Interesting.
It does. So your room, has its own little items. You can get your rupees whenever you go into your own cupboard. But then if you open anyone else's cupboard, the game is like, that's impolite. You shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I thought that was great. I thought that was a great little meta aspect of Skyward Sword, because here we are just talking about in Kokiri Forest, just like going into someone's house,
right?
And you're like, ooh, I'm in someone's house. They kind of address that in Skyward Sword a little.
Like, can you ease up, to stop spying on people? Yeah,
it's
not
like
yours.
The message is a little vague, or not vague, but it's a little side nudge where it's like, it's actually a little impolite to open people's closets. You should maybe consider that.
Yeah.
It's kind of what it says to you.
And then he just shuts it again. But you can still see in them, which is cool. And they're all a little different.
They are.
There are a lot of really cool little touches in the Night Academy where I just think it was a cool design. I don't think you can ever go into Zelda's room. It's always locked, I think, unless maybe after you beat the game or something.
You can, and I have been in Zelda's room.
Oh my gosh, scandalous.
I know. I'm going to save that story for our Skyward Sword HD episode.
Okay. All right. I wasn't sure. I have never been.
Well, I'm going to make it sound even creepier. You can't go in through the door.
Okay.
I know. When I did what I did, I was like, talk about feeling like you're in a space you're not supposed to be in. When I did what I did, I was like, oh my. But there is a side quest reward to it, so it's an intent, and I'll save that for our Skyward Sword episode.
All right, well, good to know. But yeah, it's a cool place to explore. I always like starting the game off and just going into each little door and visiting people, and obviously the rooms don't change, but people will be in their rooms or outside of their rooms, and what I tend to pick for my favorite dwellings are the ones that feel the most real or the most realized.
Yeah. And honestly, I think the reason I backed away from it is because you said it feels like a dormitory but maybe a little smaller, and I think I wanted it to be bigger. And I think that's a little unfair. I think this is a very well realized building with a kitchen and a cafeteria and someone cooking and a literal bath and a bathroom. And all the rooms each person has kind of decorated their room. Even the professors have decorated their rooms with their own passions and stuff. And I have to completely agree with you. I think this is a very, very well realized building. I think I did want it to be Hogwarts. I think I did want it to be enormous.
Fair.
But that's a little unfair. I think they did a great job.
No. Awesome. Should we take a break before we go to the next one, or do you want to go next?
Let me do one more to piggyback off of Skyward Sword.
Yeah.
And then maybe, I don't know, I have plenty. I've got maybe another 6 or 7, but so another dwelling, and I do this is a dwelling because if you climb a ladder, you can see a bed and a living space and stuff like that.
Okay.
A dwelling that I love, though I don't know if I'd want to be in it in real life.
Okay.
A dwelling that I love is in Twilight Princess, and it's Agatha's castle.
Oh.
And I wanted to piggyback off of your comment about the guy who collects the bugs in Skyward Sword.
Gotcha.
Because whenever her house, it is her house in my opinion. You meet her and it's all super decorated and there's a tree in the middle, and there's a lot of detail. There is a ladder around the back, if I remember correctly. You can climb it. If you go up, there's a small little bedroom where she has her bed and whatever. So I feel she lives there. The thing that I love the most about Agatha's castle is it's highly detailed, but it's so much fun to have a bug zoo. I would not want to live in this building because I wouldn't want bugs crawling all over the place and flying around me that much. I'm fine with bugs. I like camping, but so if this were realized in the real world, I don't think I'd want to be in this building. But in the context of the game, every little bug you collect stays there. Remember Donkey Kong Country 3, I think, when you'd collect these banana birds and you'd go back to Cranky's house, and as you collected more, they lived in her house. So every time you went back to her house, if you don't remember, it's fine.
No.
They would just perpetually AI live in Cranky Kong's house. And so you could literally see the things you collected. I think it's an absolute blast that in Agatha's house, all the little bugs live in there that you find when you bring them to her. They stay with her. Every time you go into the house, there's a little bit. Every little bug has its own AI. It's not like they're just up on a pedestal.
Yeah.
They're living and flying around and doing their own AI stuff they do out in the wilderness. And so it's like a living, breathing area. And I think that's super cool.
Nice. I'm looking at a screenshot of it right now because I know I had been there when I played the game. I don't think I ever went up the ladder and explored.
Yeah. I think there's a ladder in the back.
I can see it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Because you can go up. And the fun thing is that some of these bugs, because they're just running their normal AI routines, they'll just fly and land somewhere on the wall, and they'll fly and land somewhere on the tree. And if they're the kind of bug that stays on the ground, they just climb around, on the bottom of the tree and stuff like that. And I mean, I have a thing for trees in the middle of buildings. I think that's a super cool look. Mm-hmm. Besides the point, I think that's a super cool look. But I also think that this is a fun dwelling to return to, and it's very detailed and well realized in that way. Even though it's weird, it's cool.
Yeah. No, I do like the tree in the middle as well. And there are what I had heard called Jesus beams at one point in time, where the beam of sunlight shines down.
Yeah, in film it'll be called God rays sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Jesus beams, God rays, whatever. Mm-hmm. But that's part of this as well. And I think that's a really cool touch to make it feel very airy and natural.
Yeah, just to swing back to Breath of the Wild, if this dwelling lived in Breath of the Wild, those beams would move dynamically with the movement of the sun, because they actually have a light system in Breath of the Wild. Right. But here it's all a little bit more of a museum, a little bit more of a construction, but it's a cool look.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
Nice. I mean, do you want to go to break? Where are we at on our time? I talked a little bit in that. Yeah, I guess maybe
we should probably go to break, and then we'll be back with the rest of our favorite dwellings. How about that?
I'm into it.
All right.
Welcome to our new podcast. Welcome to our new podcast.
This isn't working.
Agreed. I think we're going to have to do it turn by turn.
Well, now that you mention it, we are a brand new RPG video game podcast.
Our very existence hinges on turn-based gaming.
So join us on the Turn by Turn podcast, where we'll be talking about
Pokemon, Fire Emblem, Golden Sun, Shining Force, Mother, and so many more.
It's your turn to come and join us.
Jake, have you ever been looking for a definitive Nintendo ranking and can't seem to find it because it's just everybody's own opinion?
Honestly, all the time, Sam.
Well, I'm looking for someone to give us the answers.
Wait, you mean like a podcast made by two young, handsome men where they create a definitive top 5 list of all things Nintendo?
Should we just do it ourselves?
Yeah, that sounds fantastic.
Let's give it a shot. I'm Sam.
And I'm Jake.
And at Top 5 Nintendo, I'm going to give you my top 5 list.
And I'm going to give you my top 5 list.
And then we're going to duke it out and see what the real top 5 is.
Hi everybody, David here. I just wanted to take a second to tell you about Another Zelda Podcast's brand new merch store. Yes, we've opened up the store to celebrate the beginning of Season 5. In fact, I'd like to tell you about our Another Zelda Podcast logo t-shirt. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's our logo on a classic t-shirt, but yeah, it does look pretty neat, especially on the 20 different shirt colors that you can select. All of the staple colors like red and green and black are there, but there's also asphalt, military green, slate, royal heather. I'm not joking, that's one of the color selections. So if you're interested in displaying your Another Zelda Podcast fandom, head on over to our website, anotherzeldapodcast.com, and click on the merch tab in our main menu right up on the top of the screen there. All right, let's get back to the show.
Welcome back. Thank you, commercials. I don't know. We're back to talk about our favorite dwellings. So let's jump right back into where we left off. So I guess it's my turn.
Yeah, I have to mark off my Agatha Castle. There we go.
All right. My next one is also from Twilight Princess. How about that nice segue?
Interesting.
It is going to be the Eld Inn, which is, Eld Inn. The Eld Inn.
Eld Inn in Twilight Princess?
It's in Kakariko Village.
Oh, I have that. I have that in my list.
Yes.
Yeah, Elda Inn in Twilight Princess.
Yeah, I don't know if it's Elda or Eld because it's supposed to be like Eldin, play on.
Totally. I picked it too.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts?
Yeah, so it goes along with our theme of like there's so much detail. It's a bigger structure. There are very separate and realized areas. So there's a lobby, there's a kitchen, there's the bedroom with the 4 beds on it. It seems more real than other places like in that area in that game. So it's 2 stories. You have a battle there. So you're fighting the, the shadow insects. or
yeah.
however you want to call them. So like I think the first time you visit it, it's kind of infested with them. So you have to like clear them out. And then it also becomes a location that you keep coming back to. You know, characters are brought there to be healed and to recover. And part of the reason I kind of like it is, I don't know if this is weird, but it kind of reminds me of a place in like a zombie movie or a zombie show where it's like this abandoned kind of city, but it's like the safe spot within that abandoned city.
Yeah, it's the apocalyptic. There is a bit of an apocalyptic vibe to it because obviously a lot of trouble has happened at Kakariko Village. I guess we're post-apocalyptic. All of Kakariko is kind of post-apocalyptic in Twilight Princess.
Right.
It's been damaged, and I know why because I read the Twilight Princess manga. Maybe I should like lend you, but yeah, actually they do that. They let you know why. But okay, yeah. So you're imagining, because there's like you can go into in zombie stories, they go into an old hotel and they can bunker up there, or like an old Walmart or something they can bunker up there.
Exactly.
I see.
So it's like this cool little safe haven where I don't know, part of me is still going like, is this really truly safe? Like, are they safe there? Or like, it makes me wonder like, well, is there food there? Is everyone going to be okay? But I think this is okay because there are beds and like. And then like the postman can be found there eventually, I guess, in the kitchen.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. He's like drying off a letter. So people still go there. It's just clearly not operating as an inn anymore.
I don't think we ever learn about who the innkeeper was or the person who owned it or anything. Not in the game anyway.
I don't think so. But yeah, I liked it because it's something that I like remember clearly from Twilight Princess as a location that I went to, and I was like, ooh, oh, this is cool. I'm going to explore like all of these rooms really, really well.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember having that experience too. I also think that the reason the Eld Inn sticks out a little bit is that when you're in Kakariko Village for the first time and you're going into and you're just learning what's even going on, you don't know what to expect. You're learning that these buildings are empty. You're learning that damage has happened. And some of the buildings you go into, I think you might technically be there as the wolf first and you're doing the bug stuff. But once you have a chance to kind of catch your breath and look around as a normal Link, for me, that was the first building that I went into where I could, again, see the story of, because sometimes you go into a building in a Zelda game, it's like, okay, empty building or whatever. But when you go into a building and you can see what has happened there, that's when it gets exciting.
Yeah.
And even though Eld Inn is broken down and run down, you can walk around it and imagine it as a working inn.
Yeah.
And the first time you get in there, it clicks in your brain. You go, oh, I think I'm in an inn, you know, because you may not even know that that's the name of this building. The fact that the staircase is in a logical place and makes sense, that there's balconies that are logical, for the most part, rooms with all the beds is logical, is great. Yeah, that one stuck out for me too.
Yeah.
Interesting. Eld Inn. Are there any? There's another inn. The inn in Breath of the Wild's pretty good in Hatno Village. I don't have that on my list, but I almost put it on my list.
Okay.
I don't know. Do you kind of recall that one at all? I don't remember the name of it, but there's an inn. There's a couple side quests in there. I remember one of the guys outside kind of has a crush on the gal that works there and stuff like that. But that's another one that's well realized in that there's some beds in a room, but not as well as Eld Inn. Eld Inn like has rooms. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Well, maybe I'll stay on I think that's all it for my Twilight Princess. Ooh, I'm going to do one that might be weird. Let's do it.
Okay.
In Ocarina of Time.
Okay.
And this is genuine. I'm not trying to be tricky. One of my favorite dwellings is Gerudo Fortress. The Gerudo Fortress.
Okay.
I got tongue-tied because I got nervous saying it. I can't say that I love that part of the game. I know that's a very stressful part of the game for you. It's when they capture you and you have to go through the catacombs and everything. But for Ocarina of Time, there are rooms that have dining room tables in it. There are rooms where you do kind of imagine, oh, this is a bunker or a dwelling of some kind where all these people are actually living here.
Yeah, for sure.
You know? And the truth is, I think it could be fun to live there if you were a Gerudo.
Yeah. They seem to like it. There are like little decorations here and there from what I recall. So yeah, I don't think that's a weird choice.
Once in a while, there's an abstract hallway, but even most of the time, even, sometimes sometimes with Zelda games, a hallway goes to another room. And if you really were to map that out, you're like, this building doesn't even make sense. You know what I mean? Sometimes like another thing I'm reminded of is that I think technically, if you truly map out if you literally lay all the Ocarina of Time maps in the place they're supposed to be, technically Kokiri Forest curves back into Hyrule Field and stuff. So there's like some, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in the game, but like technically it doesn't all line up. And one of my favorite things about role-playing games is when the inside of the house is the same size as the outside of the house. When you play these like top-down role-playing games back in the 16-bit era, when the space of the house realistically represents what's going on. I love that. And so I feel like even though there's a little bit of abstraction with Gerudo Fortress, for the most part, it feels like it makes sense. It feels like this town built into the side of this kind of cliff. And especially for an Ocarina game or for a Nintendo 64 game, I felt like I was in maybe a little bit like the Yiga clan hideout in Breath of the Wild. Sure. I felt like I was in someone else's space for sure.
Yeah, I can totally see that. I mean, and you definitely shouldn't be in there because they will kick you out and they will try to murder you. So that makes sense. No, I like that one. And I always love the music in that area too.
Yeah.
It's like the best. It's my favorite music. And I dig it. My next one is kind of weird as well, I guess. Also on the weird track because I haven't played these. But what I wanted to do is pick like what seemed to be the best version or coolest version of Link's house between all the games.
I'm listening.
So I did a bunch of reading about like, you know, Link's house in games that I haven't played before compared to Link's house in games that I have played.
Okay, yeah.
And the ones that seemed the coolest and like the most useful are from games that I have not played. So it's going to be Link's house in either Spirit Tracks or Link Between Worlds.
I can talk about Link Between Worlds. That's on my list.
Awesome.
I can't talk about Spirit Tracks yet because both you and I still have to play that one.
Yes. So the reason that I picked these is that they seem to be the most useful / interesting, not just where you start the game and then you just leave and then maybe you can come back if you want, but they're like actually useful or they change or they're like beneficial to you. So in Spirit Tracks, apparently you can like go back to the house with stamps that you collect to exchange for prizes. So it's not just like I can go back and I can open my cupboard for 5 rupees. It's like you can, you know, bring back items like maybe similar to Agatha's castle, you know, a bug fetch quest. And get prizes. And yeah, in Link Between Worlds, apparently the house turns into a store or a shop.
I can talk about that.
Please do. Please do. I mean, so I don't have very many notes for that, but I wanted to just pick like the coolest version of Link's house from what it seemed.
Oh, wow. I'm looking closer at my list, and I had Link's house in A Link Between Worlds as an honorable mention. Okay. I guess I was going to mention it at the end of the episode, but I'll happily talk about it right now.
Do it.
Because I think it's actually like, I think for world building, it's a great example. Yeah. For Link's house, it's like a bad example. So I'll talk about it. So in A Link to the Past, which we both played back in season 2. Mm-hmm. If you can kind of in your head right now remember, like Link's bed is in the upper left of this. When you're looking at the screen, he's got a little table to the lower right, or the right anyway, and it's all pretty simple. I think there's a little fireplace up there on the top of the screen. So in A Link Between Worlds, the concept is that the house is the same house. It's supposed to look, even though it's done with 3D polygons and it's not sprites, the layout is the same. Like the bed is in the upper corner. There's the table. There's a few things. And pretty quickly, almost immediately, pretty quickly after you do your first little like run to the castle and come back thing, a character named Ravio, who's this purple bunny looking character, takes over your house.
Right.
And what he does is he turns it into a shop, and the shop is where and how. So this is a new thing for Zelda games. It's not a shop the way that you might consider a normal Zelda shop to work. You might remember that in A Link Between Worlds, you can play the dungeons in any order you want. Mm-hmm. You don't need to get a certain item. You don't have to wait to get the hookshot to reach the thing that gets you to dungeon number 5 or whatever.
Gotcha.
But to facilitate that, A Link Between Worlds has a system where you rent any item you want. So it's a little bit like Breath of the Wild. It's a little pre-Breath of the Wild where you get your 5 special things and then you go out into the world. Mm-hmm. In this one, they're still using classic Zelda items. So there's the bomb and the bow and the hookshot and all of that. Mm-hmm. but you can only take, I mean, it changes as you play. You get the ability to carry a few more with you. You get the ability to buy these things permanently. But in the beginning, you can only take one of them with you. And so maybe the hookshot helps you get into dungeon 3. And I guess you go do dungeon 3 first because you picked to rent the hookshot.
Okay.
So they needed a hub. But my point is, from a game development point of view, there needed to be a literal central, probably in the middle of the map, which is usually Link's house-ish, area where you could always kind of go back there and switch out your weapons. So story-wise, this character Ravio takes over the house. So in that way, this is actually just a shop, and it's not a good house. But what's fun about it from a world building point of view, and maybe a little bit of this production design point of view, if I know you did a little Google real quick. If you have the image up in front of you, take a close look, and you can literally see Link's bed in the upper left corner. But it's shoved up against the wall and the pillow has fallen down. And like the table that is normally Link's kitchen is just haphazardly like shoved up against another wall. So from a lore point of view, this Ravio character comes in and just takes everything in your house and is like, all right, get that out of here. Like, it's like like how these army bases get built when aliens, in some kind of sci-fi movie, it's like, just set it up quick. And, everything's on folding tables. Ravio basically has 3 folding tables and everything else. If you don't notice it at first, like everything that's normally part of Link's awakening or, whatever, his house, just clearly and like they even went into it's not just the bed model sideways. They went ahead and modeled the blankets falling down and the pillow and stuff like that.
I see that.
So that's super cute.
And apparently there's some kind of like Majora's Mask Easter egg that's involved.
Yeah, there is. After a while, you get the ability to walk on walls, basically, to become a painting and walk on walls.
Sure,
and,
of course.
Of course. It's from a game development point of view, it's really cool, and I know why they did it, because this game is rendered with polygons, not with sprites. So you look down on your map like it's Link's Awakening, but when you zap onto a wall, that camera whips down into the level, almost kind of looking like, almost looking a little bit more like, I'm thinking about those DS Zelda games, Phantom Hourglass and stuff like that, where you're kind of looking sideways. So the camera will very quickly just like zoom down in there, and then you're looking at the walls, and then it zooms back out, which is great. That's a great way to kind of incorporate 2D and 3D together. Okay, fine. So when you walk on these walls, you become a part of the wall. Is like the logic of it. So if there's a bookcase, you actually walk behind the bookcase, but you're still part of the wall.
Gotcha.
So there is some comedy there. Like if you pop out of the wall, you might knock that bookcase over and stuff like that. There's even some puzzles that revolve around getting behind something and popping it and making it fall or something like that.
Cool.
There's the quick version here is that Majora's Mask is hanging on an angle where you can't. So I guess the bottom wall, if you're looking at it as a conventional 2D view, down on the bottom wall, there's Majora's Mask hanging, but you don't really see that until you map yourself onto one of these walls and the camera goes down and zooms in. Then it's very cleverly placed that if you walk around just right, it's just at the right height where it lines up with Link's neck. And then in a cute way, it doesn't do anything, but in a cute way, it looks like Link's wearing the Majora's Mask.
Oh, cool.
Or
I found a picture.
Majora's Mask, not the Majora's Mask.
Nice. Awesome.
That's all of that.
Cool.
You got a lot of coffee me this morning, and I asked for it, though, but I'm excited.
Oh, Lord. All right.
You're like, Dave, tell me a story. And I'm like, well, here's 30 minutes of that story.
Okay, that's not the story that I wanted. Okay, thank you. I'm going to do another one.
Yeah.
Since we kind of combined
so
that
long.
one. Yeah. Gosh, shut up. Anyway, so the next one I'm going to do is where I would like to live. If I could pick any dwelling where I would want to live.
Ooh, interesting.
It's going to be in Breath of the Wild in the Lurelin Village huts.
That's good.
I want to live there. Yeah. So actually, my dad is in Puerto Rico right now, so maybe that was inspiring me. He's down in the warm weather and by the water and rainforests and all this good stuff. And I always just like visiting this place because I'm like, this is where I would want to be, by the water, in just a simple, warm, cozy hut built around a tree, by the way. So when you were talking about Agatha's castle, I was like, he probably likes these huts too, because they're built around like palm trees. So you have that natural element right within your house. They're not fancy. It's just kind of like a pallet on the floor, basic kind of dwelling, but right by the water. It's warm.
I don't have this on my list. This is a great pick. I completely forgot about Lurelin Village.
All right.
I just go down there to hang out sometimes. In
Same.
The game, you know?
I do too. So I just wanted to pick that one just because of all the dwellings, that's where I would pick to reside.
One of those huts is so well realized as far as like this world building stuff that we talk about now, that there's a family living in it.
Mm-hmm.
And each one of those family members even has their own, daily cycle of things they do, but they all come around the fire at dinner time and then have dinner together and then go into the hut together.
I know.
So not only is it like a production design thing to look at, you can live it too a little bit. You can watch these people do these things. It's that's awesome.
Is that the family that you like help collect things for their dinner?
Oh, it might be. I don't remember.
Okay.
I honestly might have just watched them get together and then walk in. I don't know if I've done that side quest per se.
Gotcha.
Yeah, those huts are great.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Do they sleep in hammocks in that, or are they little mats like cots? I can't recall.
I feel like it was mats, but I
think it's mats. I think the hammocks are Rito Village actually, which also seems kind of fun. But.
Yeah, I mean, I almost went with that too. They're like, there's so many cool places in Breath of the Wild, but I didn't want to only do things from that game. I wanted to kind of spread it out between all the games.
What's the most time wasty but completely fulfilling thing you've done in Laurelin Village?
Oh,
because I think that's the whole point of that town. That's why it doesn't even show up on the map. It's just you're supposed to just go there and be.
I mean, maybe just like kind of going around the water and maybe collecting fish and just kind of like hanging out and then cooking and going to there's like a stand where you can buy fruit and things like that. So I don't know, a combination of things, I guess.
I've just walked up and down that stand pretending that I'm buying things. Just like it's just a place you want to be.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. That's great.
I love it.
That's great. My niece one time correctly took like Link's shirt off and just had him swim. And he would get out and he would rest and then he'd jump back into the water and swim around. And he was just like, it was almost like real life. It was like we were in the Oasis or something. It was like, she just actually just enjoyed swimming in the bay there when she was playing the game.
It's just relaxing and gorgeous.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Let's see. I wonder if I have something that can kind of go in that route. Well, kind of. I can stay in Breath of the Wild. Okay. Little different, very different energy about what I'm about to talk about. But I do like it. Even though it gives me a little anxiety being in it, it's the Hatno Tech Lab. The Hatno Ancient Tech Lab.
Gotcha.
Love the world building. Love the as the production design. I said that 900 times this episode. I can't stop saying it after our episode a few episodes ago. But I love all the paper and the clutter everywhere. It feels super lived in. It feels like a mad scientist is in there really working. I almost said Agatha's in there. Oh, it is. What? No. What's that character's name? Pura?
Oh, I'm terrible at names.
Because she's the one that's also then younger in Age of Calamity. But anyway, it doesn't matter. What I like about it is this is one of those dwellings where in the bottom it feels like this really is where they work on things. But you can venture up enough ladders and you can go up around the outside of the building and find bedrooms and things where these different characters sleep, and you can really wrap your head around it. It's chaotic. Every time I'm in there, all of the paper on the ground, like I don't find myself lingering in the Ancient Tech Lab the way you would in Laurelin Village.
Yeah.
But it's always fun to be in there. There's a version of that building where I could also very happily be a mad scientist in. Like if there was if my life went a different direction, I'd be very happy in a building like that too, I think.
I can see that journey for you. Nice.
Also, is that the one with the big telescope, or is that the one with the guy?
Oh boy.
I think the big telescope is on this one. One of them has like a big megaphone. Anyway, it's so cool because you can really climb up the top of these things, and there's just wacky inventions and constructions on them. And so that was, in my opinion, very well realized as a dwelling.
I love it. Love it. I have 2 left, and they're kind of my honorable mentions.
I think I have 3, and then I can do our guest submissions too.
Cool. And then I also wasn't sure. So I wasn't sure if bars like counted.
Yeah, that's tricky. I know, because is it like in Skyrim? Is it a tavern where you can rent a room?
Right.
Is it implied that you can do that?
Yeah, and so I didn't pick like Telma's bar.
I almost picked Telma's bar.
Yeah, because I kind of wanted to, but then I'm like, you wouldn't really live there. But I love that place. Like I would hundo P go there all the time if I lived in that village.
Yes,
I would be there all the time. Yes.
I completely agree. Like I can already see the board games in the corner somewhere.
Yep.
My headcanon is there are like 4 or 5 little rooms off the edge of that thing, but it's not realized in the game.
I know. There's a cat. There's a bar cat.
Yeah. Does it get any better?
I want to go to a bar where there's a bar cat. So anyway, I wanted to like kind of mention that one as I wish that one counted, but it doesn't. So the last 2 that I had, I mean, I can do both of them or just one, but I have the Happy Hearth Inn from Minish Cap.
I have a Minish Cap thing.
As another inn, because this is kind of one of the larger structures there as well.
Yeah, I don't have this. This is
a little
great.
bigger.
Sorry.
There's a little more to explore. It just sounds pleasant and lovely. And again, like something from the novel that I'm reading, like, oh, and then he went to the Happy Hearth Inn. Like, it just sounds realistic, like something out of a fantasy novel. You can replenish your health there. You can get your kinstones and exchange kinstones there.
Yeah.
There's a hidden piece of a heart there. So it is very useful. It's not just there to be there. Like, there's a point in going there. And then Din, Foror, and Nehru can be found there as well.
That's right. Are they up on the 2nd floor or something?
I think so. I mean, and they're only there briefly. Like, then they go away eventually once they get, like...
Because then there's that whole
involved
side
in-
quest where you're getting them houses and stuff. Remember that?
Right.
The kinstones?
Yep.
Yeah, you're right. This inn's great. I totally forgot about this.
Yeah. So it's just... I was just trying to think of, like, where in Minish Cap is, like, a cool, cozy place to go. And so that's what I picked for that.
I love it. I had a Minish Cap submission, and it might be more just for the funness of it.
Funness.
The funness is a word. Guy's house and girl's house combo.
Oh, yes.
You know?
Yeah.
The reason I enjoy... They're fine. They're normal houses that normal NPCs live in.
Mhm.
But I just had so much fun shrinking down and going up top and going onto the board that connects their houses.
Mhm.
And the adventure, I felt very Goonies for some reason, like with those 2 houses. My character, Link, shrinking down and dealing with the dog and the cat and the fact that you're kind of traversing from one building to the other through this... borrowers-esque kind of mode of transportation up and down the chimneys and all that. Tons of fun.
I think I thought about that one as well, but I couldn't like remember what it was, or I wasn't like, oh, maybe. I remember thinking about that one though.
I agree. I hear you. And the reason I kind of put it lower on the list here, even though it's not a top 10, is for that reason is I don't know if they're necessary. I don't know if I walk in and I'm like, ooh, so well realized. People live here.
Right.
But it was a fun experience, a fun dwelling. The 2 dwellings connected together was a ton of fun.
Well, in that vein, I can talk about one that's similar to that on my
Let's do it.
list.
I have 2 left.
Okay.
No,
So,
I have 1 left. 2 left. Sorry.
so
I'm all over the place. I'm all over the place.
one, that kind of is exactly like what you just said. It's not well realized or anything, but it's fun and funny, which is Crazy Tracy's Health Spa in Link's Awakening. Crazy Tracy's Health Spa.
Which one is Crazy Tracy? She's not the hippo. Who's Crazy Tracy?
Crazy Tracy's.
Oh, right. Yeah, she helps. She gives you more health and stuff.
Yes. So
Oh my gosh, Crazy. Yeah, I remember.
I love it because the name is Crazy Tracy's Health Spa. So if I saw something like that, I'd be like, I want to check that place out. B, what exactly is Crazy Tracy's treatment that she does to make Link feel better? We don't have to go into detail because children listen to this. but-
Isn't there don't you have to give her something like a powder? I'm confusing that with the witch, I think.
Yeah. So she does give you medicine, but there's also like a treatment that she can give you to make you feel better. And I don't know if I want to know what that is.
That feels along the lines of like the red dress ladies in Link's Adventure.
Here, I will show you. Crazy Tracy.
Yeah, okay, I remember this now.
Looks like she's down to clown.
Down to clown. Okay, fair enough, Kate. Fair enough.
We won't have to go further than that. But so yes, you can purchase the secret medicine, but you can also receive treatment. So I picked that one because it is just funny. I think it's hilarious.
Sometimes you just need some R&R.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. So Crazy Tracy's Health Spa was my
You know what's funny is I was thinking as you were telling me about this, I thought like, well, you know, the fidelity of the graphics on the Game Boy, it might have been hard to kind of get her vibe. And I was about to say we should try to recall what it looks like in the Link's Awakening remake. Mm-hmm. And that's actually the image you just showed me.
Right.
And it's far worse. The tone and the vibe has a touch of innuendo to it. Oh my goodness.
She's wearing a little red dress and a little bunny Playboy bunny ears.
Kind of bunny ears.
and,
You're right. It's a little weird.
Crazy
All right.
Tracy.
Crazy.
Tracy's crazy.
All right, to bring it into a more wholesome spectrum here,
Wise.
I had to put Lon Lon Ranch from Ocarina of Time on my list.
Sure. Absolutely.
Fairly well realized, literally going into the house. It's typical Ocarina of Time details, but so there's just nuances and suggestions of things. There's a table in the middle. There's kind of a cabinet situation, but the ranch as a whole feels like it's a living place where you feel like there is I just remembered you do go up the stairs and there is a bedroom and stuff on the second floor.
Yep.
And so the idea that these three characters live there, Ingo, Malon, and Talon.
Mm-hmm.
No, Ingo, Marin, and Taran. No? Malon and Talon.
You got it.
Yeah. Yeah, Malon. That's right. Malon. Marin's Link's Awakening. Anyways, I just want to put that in there. Like that is when you go into Lon Lon Ranch, and maybe it was inspired because I just recently had this awesome moment, which I put on our Instagram where I went into Lon Lon Ranch like probably a half a second before the wolf howled.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, about a half a second before the overworld truly clicked over to nighttime.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this awesome Twilight experience in Lon Lon Ranch. And I just found myself walking around all over the place. I was playing it on Switch Online, so I was doing like screen grabs. I was grabbing images, and it was just so... I had never experienced Lon Lon Ranch in that way before. I had walked around and thought it was adventurous, but this time I was kind of Laurel and Villaging it a little bit.
Yeah.
I found myself, because maybe it was the tone, the evening vibes, I was just watching the horses run around. I was just walking into different buildings, chatting with Malon. And it was awesome. And that's when, for me, it really clicked like, oh, this isn't just a place to get the stuff you need to get and get. I think usually, certainly when I was younger, I was so focused on, oh my goodness, there's Epona. Mm-hmm. Like Epona is there. Mm-hmm. Let's make this happen. Let's get on this horse.
Let's steal this horse.
Do you technically steal Epona when you come back when you're an adult?
I think so.
Yeah. You get on her and then you guys jump the fence. But you know what? I just realized they make it kind of morally okay because Ingo's there being a real brat about it.
You're stealing the horse, but it's okay.
But the horse has chosen you.
Yes.
So I don't know. Any thoughts on Lon Lon Ranch?
I mean, I think I almost put that one on the list because just like you said, I mean, there is the like common area on the first floor and the bedroom on the second floor. It's a cool place to visit. There's chickens in the house, because sometimes you have chickens in the house. Just seems like a nice place to hang out.
Talon, does he end up hanging out on the stairs or something? Doesn't he ask you to wrangle the chickens? Or
yeah, you have
something like that, right?
You wrangle the chickens for some milk, and then I thought, is he sleeping there eventually?
Wow, he sleeps all over the place. Right. But also then like crossing the way and going into the barn and stuff, it all feels pretty cool, pretty realistic in that way. My last one here, and I think you might enjoy talking about this too.
Sure.
My last one is this is literally the first one on my list. I didn't even go into the encyclopedia, and I put this one in my notes. It's Link's house in Twilight Princess.
Okay.
I love Link's house in Twilight Princess. I love it.
I love that.
Yeah, I really do. I think it's super well realized. It's the Ocarina treehouse, but actually realized.
Right.
It makes complete sense. You can see he has like maybe even a burning fire. He has an oven. He has a countertops. He has books and things on his walls. I'm an absolute sucker for the double ladder up to his like loft bedroom that also looks out the main window. So cool. So cool. I have one critique, but I want to hear how you feel about this dwelling first.
Yeah, I like it as well. And just like you said, there's just more details to it. So it's like what Ocarina of Time wishes they could have done, most likely. Yeah. So they put that into Twilight Princess. I believe there's stuff that you can like check, right? Like there's like stats or something you can check in there.
I think kind of in line with Link's house in Ocarina of Time. Yeah, that is where you learn like the biggest fish you got and all that kind of stuff. So
that's kind of a cool little aspect of it that you can revisit it for a reason other than just to be like, oh, look, it's my house. Like there's a purpose to it, which is always nice.
My one critique is the creepy basement. Like, why is that a surprise and why is that there?
I don't know. I was thinking about that too. I'm like, there is a basement for some reason, but there's not.
A creepy basement that Link has to like light a lantern to go down. He doesn't go down it until he gets the lantern. Or you can go down, you just can't do anything.
Right.
And honestly, there is kind of a creepy basement in Link's house in Wind Waker. And I think that Twilight Princess was kind of channeling that a little bit. Mechanically, from a game development point of view, it's probably just to teach. it's a safe space to teach people about the light mechanics and that you can get treasures and stuff like that. Later, a treasure appears in the middle of the house because what is that when someone brings over the slingshot or something like that? Probably.
Yeah. God, I gotta play that game again too.
That's the only thing that's a little awkward is after you get, we'll just say the slingshot, then there is like a big honking treasure right in the middle of your treasure chest that's open in the middle of your living room.
Yeah.
But still, I thought it was so cool.
Yeah. But shout.
Oh, sure.
Is that the one like you would live in if you had a choice?
I mean, it would be hard to pass up Link's house in Twilight Princess. That double ladder to the bedroom thing is so cool. I'm a sucker
Treehouse
for
vibes.
loft space. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, definitely. I wonder if, I mean, I talked about liking the old man's cabin in Breath of the Wild too, but like super cool fantasy town, it's Link's house in Twilight Princess. All right, let me pull up our Twitter suggestions here real quick. Anything else come to mind while I do this?
No, that was really it. I mean, like I said, the only other thing I was thinking about was the bars, which makes me sound bad. But so like Selma's bar, and there's another one that I was thinking of, and now I can't remember.
There, we might have some bars in our suggestions here. Profile.
That was really the only other ones that I was thinking about.
I tried to put a few more Wind Waker things in there, but nothing fully stuck out.
Yeah. They're, oh, I know what I was trying to think of. The Lumpy Pumpkin.
Oh my gosh. Let me go into our listener feed, or our not listener feedback, but our Twitter comments here. So I tweeted very quickly last night. I said, hey, we're recording our Season 5 premiere episode tomorrow. We'll be discussing our favorite dwellings from any Zelda game. Houses, inns, anywhere someone could spend a few nights. What's one of your favorites? And there's some hashtags. And by the way, our Twitter account is at another Zelda pod. And sometimes, once in a while, I'll reach out like this before one of these episodes just to hear what other people have to say too.
Yeah.
I purposely didn't want to bring this up while we did our lists, but here we go. Quasmar, who goes by @MarkW Brown1, replied and said, not my favorite game, but I always enjoy visiting the Lumpy Pumpkin. The Lumpy Pumpkin is pretty well realized.
Yeah.
It's, I always do like the balcony up there, honestly. And then Shane Kelly over here, who's at Still Sane Shane, replied and said, I always would recommend the Lumpy Pumpkin. So some of these I haven't read it yet.
Yeah.
I would always recommend the Lumpy Pumpkin. It seems like a multi-purpose sort of dwelling. Yeah. Oh, there is a bedroom in the back. I assume that was for the owners. I guess it's a dwelling.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Over here, Jack Burrow, who goes by @GeekBro27, said Link's Treehouse in Ocarina of Time. It has a dinosaur carved on the tree. All right, fair enough. Fair enough. Oh, wait, but then he tweeted again and said, almost 2 hours later, and said, I would like to redact my choice and select a better location. The private oasis is the supreme Zelda location. Private oasis in Wind Waker. You might remember that little island. That is kind of cool. And you know what? Honestly, there's a couple replies. I don't want to go too far in here. But Celeste said, oh, your own butler door and creepy subterranean dungeon. You're a man of culture, she said.
I did forget about that one. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's kind of a cool little, that is a cool area. The Brothers-in-Law podcast actually chimed in. They're at Brothers-in-Law, and they said, is it bad that we like Talma's Bar? No, Brothers-in-Law.
No.
It is not. It is not bad.
100% not bad that you like Talma's Bar, because so do I.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Oh, Galutrad over here tweeted, he said, I'd love to visit Clocktown and stay at the Stockpot Inn. Fair enough. So that's the inn in Majora's Mask.
Sure.
You know what? I didn't even think about that one. It's been a while for Majora's Mask for me. That's a great suggestion. Celeste chimed in. Which guest room would you pick? Galutrad says, I think it could be fun to stay in the troops room and experience the wonders of Clocktown with your friends. The couple's room would also be wonderful on a honeymoon. Fair enough. They go back and forth a few more times. Andy Spiteri here, who goes by @Spiteri316, said, gotta be the Stockpot Inn. Interesting. That one happened. So I think I'm reading these in reverse order. Kyle Dean, goes by @KyleDean2, says, Agatha's house always seems so peaceful, especially with the glowing bugs lighting up the place. Very aesthetic.
Nice.
We are literally getting more replies as I'm reading this.
Hot topic.
Eddie Vernell over from the Boss Rush Network. He said, and I just want to give him his, so he is That Retro Code, at That Retro Code. He's a friend of the show. And he said any house on Dragon Roost Island in Wind Waker.
Okay.
Maybe, yeah, Dragon Roost Island is cool.
Yep.
Dragon Roost Island
I thought
cool.
about that one.
Rebel Audie, Bex here, who is also one of our almost like esteemed Patreon patrons at this point. She's been with us for a long time. Says here, forever obsessed with Link's Twilight Princess treehouse.
Ah,
There we are.
nice.
Celeste chimed in and said, me too. I think then Bex replies, it's so cute that his humble home in Breath of the Wild, are my absolute faves. We didn't talk about Link's house in Breath of the Wild.
No, and I thought it was like going to be too obvious, maybe. And I also thought, like, if you don't bother building your own house, like, is it a favorite? So, for example, I think I bought the house, but I didn't do anything with it yet in Breath of the Wild, and I was just kind of like, like I like other places in Breath of the Wild better. Like, I almost wanted to pick Terrytown itself.
I almost did some Terrytown stuff too.
As the whole town, just because it's cool to go into those houses in their different stages of development. Yeah,
that's a good point. The modular houses are kind of cool. Yeah. I chose not to put Link's house in there too. I did level up a few things, and eventually you get a fairly well realized like bed and living things up on the balcony inside that house. But it's mostly aesthetic. You can't really do much with them, but that's okay. Yeah. Che_Yeona_ said Kakariko Village and Laurelin Village in Breath of the Wild. They're so beautiful and calm. At Sibepack, Sibepack said the inn in Majora's Mask. A lot of Majora's Mask inns. Yeah. It's the hub of my favorite Zelda side quest to get the couple's mask. The ability to steal a room from the Goron. I think you can. Yeah, if he leaves, you can like full on, hotel heist in and get into his room while he's off doing his chores because, of course, Majora's Mask is on a timeline. The first viewing of the hand in the toilet. It has so many moving parts depending on how you want to play that set of 3 days to the hotel. Yeah, fair enough.
More toilet hands.
At J Van Ray said, I've always enjoyed staying in Rito Village in Breath of the Wild. The atmosphere is very calming. I agree. Yeah, that sleeping in the hammocks thing is kind of cool. Then Amanda Tong, I got to get so at Pearl Grey Latte said in all caps, the Great Deku Tree's navel, which I think might just be inside the Great Deku Tree. And that's everything we got there for now.
I love it.
Oh my goodness.
Thanks for your feedback, y'all. And I'm sorry we didn't touch on a couple of those places.
Yeah, some positive Majora's Mask representation there. That's cool.
Yeah,
a little bit of Wind Waker in there.
Yep. Awesome.
Nice.
Well, this is a fun episode.
Yeah. Should I do the Find Us stuff?
Yes.
All right. Well, we did just talk about Another Zelda Pod on Twitter. It's Another Zelda Podcast on Instagram. You can also follow us on Facebook and YouTube and Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts and Spotify. And there's a lot of third-party podcatchers out there right now that also were part of their library, which is very exciting. But if you just Google Another Zelda Podcast, you're going to find any of those things. You can go to our actual website, anotherzeldaPodcast.com, where we have blog posts and we have all of our previous recorded episodes there and a few other fun things along the way. Kate.
Yes.
I am noticing that you're wearing Another Zelda Podcast shirt right now.
I sure am.
Did you know that it's in its infancy, but we've just released our merch store on our website?
I sure did.
I thought you were going to play along with the bit.
Oh, sorry. No, tell me about it.
Well, let me tell you a little more about it. No, we only have a few things out there, but we're going to grow and put more and more on it. But after a fair amount of work and a lot of help from Dan Murphy and Shane Kelly, we have a humble little merch store right now for Another Zelda Podcast stuff. And I look forward to, as the seasons go on, we can take some of our inside jokes and other things and make t-shirts out of them and make phone cases out of things. And that you can find on our website as of the release of this episode.
Y'all know there's got to be an okay bye something.
Oh, there does. You're right.
I mean, I have a dang catchphrase.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that funny how you do?
Wasn't on purpose.
No. How did that happen? It was like we recorded 6 or 7 episodes and you just kind of kept saying it. And then I think some listener feedbacks pointed it out. Yeah. And now it's a thing. Now it's a thing. So much so that once in a while I host an episode on my own and I don't know how to get out of the episode. So I'm kind of like, all right, Dave, we'll see. Hey, all right, listeners. Okay, bye. It's like super awkward because it's not conversational. Anyways, AnotherZeldaPodcast.com is our website. Kate, if people can find me on Twitter and Instagram at RaptorPaint, I'll keep it there, and I'll let you kind of take us out.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at I only take cat and dog pics. I'm not taking a lot of pics right now. I'm not going to lie. My life is boring. So.
Well, you had a big push there during the holidays when you're doing that Home Alone house, and now I feel like you're kind of taking a breath.
Yes, of the wild. Sorry. Yeah, I did build the Lego Home Alone house, and I had like a beer advent calendar situation. So December was coming in hot on the Instagram, and then since then, not doing a lot. But I'm sure it'll pick up again once I actually venture to the outdoor world.
We're as of this recording, we're kind of in that phase of the Midwest where
it sucks.
You have snow constantly, and it's pretty much 10 degrees constantly, so the snow doesn't melt.
Right.
And there's a good month and a half where you're just kind of stuck inside your house.
Yep. Yay!
Well, at least we're spending some of that time here in your house recording these episodes, Kate. That's an absolute pleasure for me. Certainly gave me enough excitement over the last couple of days to know that I was coming over here for us to record. Next episode, I'll be talking with Mallory Kuhn, who we hung out with in our world building episode back towards the end of season 4.
Yeah.
She and I are going to talk about Princess Zeldas.
Yeah.
All the different incarnations of Zelda.
I love it.
I think that'll be fun. And then, Kate, you and I will be back in a couple episodes to do our Skyward Sword review.
Dun, dun, dun.
I can't wait. I have plenty to say, good and bad and all the rest. And ultimately, I'm really pleased I played it.
Yeah, same.
Cool.
All right.
All right. Well, until then, Kate, I'll see ya.
Okay. Bye.